Roundtable. Today we have some awesome guests, which would include Everett Butler, retired electrical engineer with DOD. We have back again Mr. Lynn Turner, who's going to be giving talks about some of the programs in which they being CRC, are working with, uh, developing and training our future leaders in construction. And then you have Latanya Hawkins, who is just as well versed as Mr. Lynn Turner. Then you have, I believe, is Fred Jordan, and he is the president and CEO of the San Francisco African American Chamber of Commerce. Folks, welcome to our second show, one of many series. I'd like to thank you all for joining us here today. And I'd like to also refer back to last week. It was our first show, and there was a couple of statements. One of, I believe I said Kamala Harris was the president. Let me restate that. She's the vice president. And Joe Biden is the president. I was so excited, and I still am, about just seeing a woman in the top one and two seeds that I superseded myself before she was actually crowned. Now, today, Fred, we can't see you, but can you introduce yourself and give us about a 5-minute dissertation and understanding exactly what San Francisco African American Chamber of Commerce is working in conjunction with the Oakland African American Chamber? Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, thanks, Doug, and it's my honor to be on here with some of you. And I know Lynn Turner is doing a great job out here. He's really making a difference here in the Bay Area, and quite a noted businessman and contractor and whatever is known throughout California. And it's my pleasure to be here. I'll just mention a few words about the San Francisco African American Chamber and how we work with other organizations. San Francisco African American Chamber has been around since 1973, and it's been on the forefront of civil rights. And but today, the chamber does almost anything and everything. We have revolving loans for Black businesses uh, in the millions that we've gotten from the city, and contributions. We have all kinds of workshops, and we not only do the traditional advocacy for Black businesses, which we think is critical, but also we will file lawsuits. We've gone before the Federal Reserve, Block Bank of America. We do all those kinds of things. We write programs. We go to the Secretary of Transportation and get special waivers for Black businesses, and I think Len is familiar with that. And one of the things is that we've hooked up, we've connected with the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce, and we're very close. We work as a team out here, 5 chambers, seven chambers, I'm sorry, that work in Northern California. That work together, and this the largest building contractor in the United States. Uh, Went after a job with no minority business, no Black business, right in the heart of the Black community. And so, anyway, the Black Board of Trade asked me to put a phone call to the chair of the Area Rapid Transit System, and she complied and stopped that contract. And today, we have a 10% goal for Black business, not minority business, Black business, and because we've just been overlooked here in California. And so no one believed that, but today we're doing 17% of that goal, and I think Len can testify to that. And that's because we collaborated, stopped that project, and said, hey, this is what we want if you want the project. And so those are kinds of things that we do. We collaborate with the Silicon Valley Black Chamber, with the Fresno Black Chamber of Commerce, with Monterey, with the number of the chamber, 7 of them. And so we put it together. Then there's the California Black Chamber of Commerce, which our chamber was founded. And we weren't one of the ones, but we founded the California Black Chamber. I sit on the national board of the National Black Chamber of Commerce. So we're about business and we're about advocacy. So basically, that's it. We're busy, but it's a struggle. The struggle continues, says Frederick Douglass, in which that's my namesake, Frederick Jordan.
Well, Mr. Jordan, your mic was a little bit, and can I get everyone to mute their mics if you're not speaking, please? Now, Mr. Jordan, we really appreciate that input, and we would love to have you back. I want to let everyone know Mr. Jordan was notified today around noontime, and he carved out some time so that he can introduce himself and the wonderful work and collaboration with other chambers across the Bay Area. It is important that we work together as a unit. Together, we will make a difference. Mr. Jordan, we will have you back, and thank you for your participation and your input today.
Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for the work you're doing. I mean, whatever you let me know, I'll be there. Okay. Thanks, Doug.
And Mr. Jordan, all of you. Thank you very much. And Mr. Jordan, we appreciate that because from my understanding, you have a wealth of experience and wisdom that you're going to bring to increasing Black economics and development and growth in our community. Thank you, sir.
All right. All right.
Lynn, I would be remiss if I did not introduce Kim Harris, Magnolia Engineering and Construction. She was here last week and did a marvelous job explaining some of CRC's training program. And we would like to thank you once again for your sponsorship, Ms. Harris. Thank you. Mr. Turner and Mrs. Hawkins, I'd like to turn it over and give you guys 10 minutes to, and if you need another 5, throw it in there. As I said, I got 5 on it. So if you can, Lynn, Mr. Turner, I'll call you Lynn. We know each other well, and Ms. Hawkins, Tanya. If you can articulate briefly, because we're going to ask you to come on each show over the next, from my understanding, we're going to be on for a little while. So each show, and have a CRC corner, a Turner and Hawkins corner, and explain some of the things, and you won't be able to explain it as you eloquently had done in class, but explains a portion of each of your program and how it relates to teaching our young business people not only to start a business, but to succeed at business. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, and thank you for that, Doug. And Doug and I went to school together, even though I got a few years on it, but we did go to the same school. Doug, I'm going to refer to LaTanya. LaTanya is going to give the overview, and then I'm going to chime in.
Thank you.
Okay, but yeah, Doug, thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. We've had the pleasure of working with you and Tammy, and so to be able to come on today and to be able to share some resources, we just feel that it's an absolute honor. Just have to say that before we get started. But you had mentioned giving an overview. And so Construction Resource Center, we started right at the latter part of 2014, 2015. And as you know, in our family, we had a couple of contractors. Lynn's background was with IBM and Dassault and Disney, and my background was with Sutter Health. And so like many small contractors, we thought as a family we could get together to open a construction business, but we really soon found out that really that first year presented so many challenges because we did not have access to the resources we needed to really survive. And that was to build our infrastructure, the resources that we needed to transition from residential to commercial. And so we found ourselves in a situation where we had, some claims, legal law, lawsuits, things like that we had to deal with. negotiating contracts because we were unfamiliar with some standard operating procedures because we were kind of playing it by ear and learning as we go. And so a lot of our small Black contractors suffer, unfortunately, the same challenges. And so in 2014, we thought, how can we build a platform that would prevent our other small contractors and tradespersons that were looking to open up businesses? How do we prevent them from experiencing the same challenges that we experienced? It was one thing to be able to get, forms and someone say, hey, fill this out or sign this contract. But internally, we weren't attorneys. We didn't know how to mark up a contract. We didn't know what certain sections of the contract meant. Like small contractors, we sign a contract because we saw a figure without going through the small details. And then in the office, we had our family working who were absolutely wonderful, but they required specific skills to be able to run our companies effectively. So Lynn and I decided, hey, along with our family, what kind of resources can we provide that was accessible to our community, that also proved to be really easy to apply and practical to put into place in your business, and how can we provide ongoing assistance? It's one thing to have a one-on-one consultation with somebody and tell them that this is what you need to do, but 2 months later, who do I go to? 2 months later.
May I interject one thing?
Absolutely.
One thing I am really pushing, because I've had to fight billion-dollar corporations with attorneys.
Yeah.
I am trying to push, I'm gonna make this briefly because I don't want to cut into your time, but I think it's critical that we establish, just like they have the Civil Rights Legal Fund, we need to have a Black business right legal fund, because all these big companies, they have lawyers and they put millions of dollars to putting people like you and I out of business. So I just wanted to thank you for letting me interject. Please proceed.
No,
Yeah,
I understand.
And we agree with that. And that's part of what the Construction Resource Center provides, as well as some legal assistance. And I think LaTanya was getting ready to touch on that.
No, absolutely. Interject whenever you need to, Doug. Because we felt that the benefit of our resource center, how was it different? We had our anchor partnerships with Oakland African American Chamber, with the city, with the county. We worked with our partners to be able to provide a variety of resources that were ongoing, as we mentioned. Also with the small contractors that we worked with, what was the opportunities for joint venture partnerships and what did that look like? How do you negotiate small scope packages to be able to build your business? If I was just starting, I would love to have a $1.5 million contract, but did I have the capacity to be able to effectively complete the project with also a profit? And so we were able to negotiate contracts for small contractors and with our large GCs. We also have our GCs in the area that are over the majority of projects in the Bay Area. They facilitate our classes. And so if Lynn were to come in and take a class, we were encouraging him to establish a relationship with that DC so they would know exactly what they were aware and capable of doing on a future basis. We also have space for our contractors. In the Bay Area, you cannot find an office space that is affordable.
Well, get that address. We want to make sure we put some business in your business.
Absolutely. 8055 Collins Drive in Oakland, California. And so we are working with our small contractors because we know the challenges that they're experiencing. And what our motto is if we don't have the answer, we have partners that have the answers for you and will guide you along the way. And so that's nice. We have our one-on-one sessions with our members. And so on a monthly basis, we meet with them. And so if the topic for Everett or for Doug or for Kim this month is, creating a capability statement, or can you tell me how do I calculate overhead and profit with my labor, then that's what we focus on. But it's the personalized assistance, technical assistance that they needed. And then also introducing them to the trends, technology in the field. So we're not behind the curve. How are you using software in your office? And how do you teach those in the field the value associated with it? And how do you connect the field? As Lynn says, he always says, how do you connect the field with the office to know that each each role is actually critical. And so,
Because it's key.
yeah.
It's key to success. Office and field need to be in sync. If they're
Sync.
not, you're losing money. And
And
that's the part we don't seem to get. You have to put the same emphasis that you put in the field and the quality and the journeymans that you have in the field. You need that same type of quality person
right.
in your office with the skill sets to make sure that your work goes out like it should, represent your company.
Well, let me tell you both. Let me tell you both something. I took the class and I was truly impressed with the magnitude of information, the amount of information that you shared with everyone. And now I've been to Turner Construction, Big Turner Construction, Hensel Phelps, Clark Construction. I've been to their training program, but one thing I found strikingly different with you guys, with CRC under Lynn and Latanya, I found you guys reached out and you touched people who look like me. When I was in the other programs, I felt like they were giving me just enough information. It's like they give you just enough gas to make it home. You better not go to the store. You better not go pick your kids up. But you guys filled my tank. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to put that out there. When you go to these training programs, and Lynn, I think you've been to probably as many as I have. They call contractor training program, et cetera, et cetera. I was more confused when I left there than when I got there. But when I went to your program, I was thoroughly impressed. So I didn't mean to eat into your time.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Doug. But that's really one of the other reasons why we developed what we developed, because we needed a program that dug a little deeper. So they give you this 50,000 foot view when you really need a 500 perspective, the view. You need to get into it. And so we try to provide what you need, what you actually need in the office, what you actually need in the field, and you can bring your material in. So let's say you had a bid or you had a proposal you wanted to put together, and you're asking us, what should I not include? What should I include? What are the 10 things or the top few things we should look out for in our contract? Because we've gone
Lynn, you froze.
No, he's
just
frozen.
about every hurdle you could possibly jump. Oh, I'm frozen. Every hurdle that you could possibly jump through. Okay, all right. I don't know where I stopped, but every hurdle that you could possibly jump through, we have jumped through that hurdle, and so we're passing that on to as many contractors that want to listen. And if you look at our books, they were written specifically for contractors. We know they don't like to read. We put it in big, bold letters and said, if you don't want to read this, make sure you understand this in this chapter. Here is the most important thing that you need to get out of this chapter.
And you had videos, videos
our e-learning,
tests that after you watch the video, which were very meticulous and walked you through insurance, bonding, liens. And what I gathered, the biggest thing I gathered out of it was that you knew how to touch people who look like me and you and Latanya and Tim and Everett. Thank you.
And what's interesting about that, you say that, Doug, we grew up in the Bay Area. And so this was near and dear to our hearts. We work with people that we went to school, but in our area on Collins Drive, we work in our community and we see the effects of certain things in our community. And so to be able to give back, in our class, we've always said there's enough opportunities to go around for everyone. And so there's no need for us to be able to really kind of hold on to this information if it can benefit our neighbor. So for us, it was very important that even if we aren't going to participate on a project, how can we help our community participate in the project? How can we help our kids participate in the project? And so with CRC, it's not only having the ongoing resources for our contractors, But I don't think we've even talked about our internships that we offer for our local high schools. And so our Casamont High students, our Fremont High students, our Skyline students who, we have internships at Galati, and we've had internships with Alton Construction. We've had internships with McGuire and Hester provides job shadows. And so those are the type of opportunities that allow our children to be exposed to the options that they have. So that was very important for us.
And the most important thing, what you just said, when our Black boys and girls see Black men and women who look like us out there doing these things, it broadens their horizon.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you both for
Thank
participating.
you. Thank you.
And I will see you next week.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Take care, Everett, Doug, and
Okay.
Kim.
Yeah. Take care. Bye, Kim. Bye, Everett. Bye, Doug.
Okay,
You guys
thank
are
you.
awesome.
See you next week. See you
Thank
next
you,
week,
Everett.
Tanya.
You guys are awesome, and take care. And I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank
Okay,
you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
And as they would say on the big networks, and a word from our sponsor, Kim. I was going to say, can you update us on your website? Because I've had a lot of people call and they're very interested in taking a look at this magnificent woman-owned engineering and construction company and the impact that they're going to make in our community. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me here today. We wanted to make sure that everyone knew the website is on its way. We have been furiously working, trying to make sure that all of the information is there, it is correct, and we have taken the time to really try to break it down, make sure all of our advisors are there. One of our advisors is right here today, which would be Everett Butler. And I'm so happy that you have him on today because with his bio, I was trying to include so much from his bio, but unfortunately for the room that I had available to put all the information, I didn't have enough room. And Everett has so much experience. And I wish he could actually just read to you what it is that he had forwarded to me to share with everyone because I was so upset I couldn't put it all there. So I think today you are going to learn a lot from Mr. Butler today. So I am so happy you're here, Everett. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Kim. I appreciate all the help you gave me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being one of the advisors for Magnolia, because I think with your experience and then your passion that you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
for working with with children and showing them, just as Douglas had said earlier, seeing someone that looks like them doing, engineering or doing contracting, etc. It lets them know it's possible if that's an avenue that they would like to go into. But if you don't see someone that looks like you, it doesn't give you that encouragement or that belief that you can do it. One of the things, because I studied journalism in school, and at the time I didn't really see a lot of newscasters and things on TV that looked like me. My instructors didn't look like me.
Right.
But guess what? One of my past instructors, Shirley Weber, Dr. Shirley Weber, is now here in the legislature for California.
Ooh, that's wonderful.
Big time. That's big time.
She just came aboard here recently. She was appointed. And it was wonderful to see someone from San Diego State University
Yes,
right up
indeed.
there in the legislature here for California. So it's just nice to finally, we now see a lot more people, like Alma Dates is on Channel 7 in the evenings.
Okay.
So it's just nice to see people that look like you in a field that you've been interested in. So journalism and advertising for me. And right now we're in construction, and now we're going to be talking with Mr. Doug. We're going to be talking to Mr. Butler this afternoon. So Magnolia is glad to be a part of the program today.
And the Black Business Roundtable appreciate your support and your sponsorship. Thank you very much, Ms. Kim.
Absolutely.
Now
More
that
food.
is great segue into my next guest. And I had to write all the stuff down too, Kim. My next guest was born and raised in California, Oakland, California. He graduated at the top of his class. He went to the University of Pacific on an academic scholarship where he attained a bachelor's of science degree in management and electrical engineering. Upon graduating, he went to work for the Department of Defense in these three organizations: Department of the Air Force, Department of the Navy, and the Defense Contract Agency for 34 years. I commend you, brother. And the
Yes,
thing
sir.
about it, I think about that is, I went to school with this intelligent man. He graduated here. And to continue on, during his tenure, he had to fight many racial battles due to the fact he was a Black engineer in a space. Was a Black engineer in a space that doesn't often include people who look like him. Less than 1% of engineers are Black. Growing up in the streets of Oakland was a strength and a curse that caused and made him fight to the end at all costs.
Absolutely.
I'm proud to say this man fights, he battles, and he wins. He's been a part of and gave of justice the right thing. Now, Mr. Butler, Everett, may I call you Everett?
Yes, sir. You may, my friend.
I
And my
want to
dear
say,
40-year friend. Yeah, you may.
I want to say 30, 40 years ago, we wrestled at the same high school. We ran and ate lunch together. We hung out down in Sobrani Park. For those of you who don't know Sobrani Park, area in Oakland where we hung out, and we went from there to where we are here today. And one of the main reasons I brought you on the show today, and I'm going to let you take over.
Yes, sir.
I was thoroughly impressed when you told me about your story,
Yes,
because
sir.
I had to fight billion-dollar companies, and you had to fight the U.S. government.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to conclude here, and you won.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
our listeners how you fought to win your road to glory. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Doug, and I appreciate you, Kim, and appreciate this platform and opportunity to share our thought process and experiences, because what it all comes down to is, like what Latanya and Lynn was talking about earlier, is that we have to pool our resources together, and that's the key when dealing with any situation. And that's one thing that we often don't do enough of, and that's the key to being able to fight. You know, you have to expand your horizons, and meaning that I'm only as strong as me. I'm only as strong as myself. But if I join with other people like you, like Kim and Doug and other people, I'm stronger, because you guys all bring attributes to the situation that I might not have. And that's going to make us stronger as a unit. And so that's always the key. And me being, just going back to my experience working for DOD, my first 15 years of my career, I worked for
Can you let them know what DOD is?
Department of Defense. My bad. Excuse me. Working for the Department of Defense out of college. I went to a school, had an engineering program. It was a 5-year program. Most engineering programs are 4-year programs. Mine was 5 years because they required you to go out and work in an engineering firm for a year as part of the curriculum, as well as doing your 4 years of study. So I did my 2 semesters, my year, working for the Department of Air Force up in Sacramento. And so when I finished my degree, they offered me a job to come work for them, and I had experience with them, so I went and worked with them. For that first 15 years, it was a great experience. I was totally empowered. The company believed in me. I got in. Somebody saw me and saw a spark in me. Introduced me to the general of the command. He put me in charge of programs for the whole base. One with the minority engineers for women at UC Davis. The other was Sac State, the academic talent program. I was the liaison and the #1 person to go out and go on the campuses and try to bridge the gap to bring more minority engineers into working for the Department of Air Force. So in that, this gave me, and I had to go brief the general every month on the progress of the program. And I also was involved in a Bluetooth program that had dignitaries come on base, and I toured them around all of the top of the line things that we were doing. We had 2 of the largest robots in the world at that time that scan intact aircraft using neutron radiography that will detect corrosion in the plane without taking it apart. And we had another robotic arm that scanned for X-ray for structural crack. So just that experience was a great experience. And in that whole 15 years, I did not experience any direct racism, which was a great thing, great part of my career, and would have probably finished my career working for the Air Force in Sacramento. What happened was the base closed in 1995. They said they were closing McClellan Air Force Base. And for the next 5 years, between 95 and 2000, the base was shutting down. I stayed there to the very end because I loved my job, loved the people I worked with and what I was doing. And after that, I was transferred down to San Diego to work for North Island Naval Air Station for the Department of Navy. Worked there from 2000 to 2006. During that time, I was of 880 engineers on North Island Naval Air Station base in San Diego. I was one of 3.
Okay. Say that number again.
I was one of 3.
Yeah.
Of
No, the total number of engineers
was
and
880.
how many people look like you and Kim and I were there, worked there?
3. And that's 1/3 of a percent. Not even less, that's 1/3 of a percent. That's what that number represents. So in that battle, just working, doing my job, and I've always done my job, thankfully, very well. I've always had excellent appraisals, my yearly appraisals. I've always had commendments, awards. I've never had anything average or below average in my whole entire career. So just by me doing my job and doing it well and being a very confident person and not letting anybody walk over me or do me or anybody around me wrong, I speak out. And that's what got me in trouble with these people, where they went to asking me to send electronic transmission of my goings and comings.
Now, how many other people had to do that who didn't look like you?
Nobody. Of the 880 people on base, nobody had to do that but me, and I was a senior engineer. And this rule, we had a rule in our engineering union that says nobody shall submit to electronic submission of time and attendance. Nobody. If you're a GS5 to a GS14, you don't submit to electronic. I'm a senior engineer, and they had me do this, and it was just out of despite because I ruffled somebody the wrong way. One of the managers, just by me speaking up, he told me
you ruffled. What was the nationality of the person who you ruffled?
White male, 100% racist. That's where this is all led to. Long story short, I tried to, in the sake of time, I tried to deal with the situation by just compromising and sending the emails and saying, all right, it's no biggie. I'm here on time. I leave on time. I'm not going to trip. I'm just going to send these emails. And after about a couple of months passed, I said, you know what? I've been doing this for a couple of months. This is getting old. And I went and talked to him, and I said, hey, I've been doing this for a couple of months. When are you guys going to stop me having me send these emails when I get to work and when I go home? They didn't give me any time. They just said, just keep on sending.
And once again, you out of 880 engineers, they singled out you, one of 3 Black people working in that position. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So one day I come to work and I don't send the email. And this guy who's my second level supervisor, he's the second level, is somebody in between him, my first level supervisor. He's the one that had me doing this and had my first level implemented. He moved me from the area I worked in the F-18 radar. I worked on the F-18 fighter jets on the radar system, on a program I love to work on, doing good work in there. He moved me from that department, put me in a cubicle, moved me from my office building, moved me to a portable that he sat in, and put my desk over by him while he had me sending these emails and working on miscellaneous programs. So basically, in my mind, a downgrade because it's not what I wanted to be doing. But anyway, I'm over there. One day I walk by his office and I go sit at my desk and I don't send the email. Sat there at my desk About an hour later, he came on my desk and said, Everett, I didn't receive your email this morning. And I said, well, you saw me walk right by your desk and you were in the office, so you know what time I got here. And he said, well, I need you to send me that email. And I said, oh, all right, sent the email. So I decided from that point to take this to the EEO, the HR department on base. And this is a lesson learned for everybody viewing. Most of us working in corporate America, you have the EEO department under the HR department for your company. Usually, and pretty much always, the EEO department is working under management in your company. Even though they're separate, they're still under the management structure. They meet together, they correspond together, they work things out together.
And they work to fire you together too.
Absolutely, Doug. Absolutely, sir. As you know so well. So my experience with them got nowhere. I was sitting there telling them what happened. They were telling me they were going to be a mediator and talk to my boss and everything. Long story short, I'm still sending emails after this experience. I'm still sending emails. And so I'm sharing this anxiety and frustration with back to the why you need to network and have a consortium and pool your resources together. The one thing that I've always done, I would emphasize for everybody, if you don't do it, to do it, is to network. Network, the power of networking is immense in all levels. And you heard our guests before me talk about that. Networking is everything. And by me networking, I had people from A to Z, from lawyers to people that was PE teachers, to doctors, to all real estate people, to accountants that were friends of mine that I formed a group called The Firm. And I sent out emails to these people every day about various topics, giving them education, knowledge, or just inspirational emails. Share this, and by doing this, you build trust and you build a loyalty. You build a group where they feel, well, hey, this group is a good group. I love conferring and sharing information with this group. So you get a lot of different things shared, and in that, you build a kind of consortium that if you run into any kind of problems, you got somebody that probably can help out, that probably can give you a helping hand on any matter, from A to Z. And my story, when I was going through what I was going through, one of my lawyer friends, I was expressing to him my anxiety and frustration of what I was going through on the job. They took my information, sent it to a law firm in Silver Springs, Maryland, Gary Gilbert and Associates. They're the second largest and best EEO employment law firm in the country. They are so pronounced that they represent, and I'm not sure if they still do now, but at some time they represent the Department of Agriculture, was their lawyers on retainer to fight for the Department of Agriculture.
Let me interrupt one thing. One thing that a lot of people who look like us on this stage here, they say, well, we got to get a black lawyer. What color was your lawyer?
White, and extremely good.
My lawyers on both cases were white.
Right.
So it is, and I wanted to put that out there because it doesn't matter if they're black or white. It matters if they know the discipline in which they're defending
what you're fighting in. Absolutely, Doug. What you're fighting, 100%. I'm glad you said that, because that's the key. When you research anybody you're dealing with for assistance, this was the second best law firm in the country. My friend had already diagnosed that. They sent them my situation on a memo, and when they read the memo, they wanted to come take my case for free. They got in contact with me and said they wanted to take my case, and they didn't even ask for no money. They wanted to just take my case and fight for me. That's how appalled they were about what was going on. And they knew that they were going to be able to win this situation. But that happened, got the attorney on board. They wrote me. This process went on for the next 5 years. After 2 years of the situation at North Island Naval Air Station Base, I said, I need to get out of here. So I applied on my own merits, on my own resume, for promotion, and went to the NAV Air headquarters in Patuxent River Naval Air Station Base in Southern Maryland, an hour outside of DC.
Let me interject for a minute. What was the mental and emotional effect, not only on you, but on
my family and friends, man? I'm gonna tell you, and this, God is my witness when I tell you guys this. That was the most stressful time of my life. I mean, bar none. I can't even begin to tell you the nights and days of me thinking about this, sitting at my desk when I went to North Island, when I was in Southern Maryland, across the country from the situation. The case was still going on, and they were still trying to threaten me. Let me tell you show you how deep the department, how deep they get in. They took every computer I ever had when I worked over there for the 6 years, every computer I ever used, and pulled the hard drives, pulled every email that I ever sent to anybody, looked at everything they could look at to try to find any kind of dirt, any kind of blackmail stuff they can find on me. And they tried to, when they put all that stuff together, they tried to call me and get me to drop my case, tell my lawyers, we found this and that on this computer, stuff that I did outside of the job with my friends and family, and trying to blackmail to drop my case. I told my lawyers,
Now,
I
wait a
said,
minute, who did you work for again?
I work for the Department of the Navy.
Thank you.
Department of the Navy. This is the Department of the Navy who did this. Department of the Navy. And they tried to get me to drop my case by thinking that all the stuff they found, they could blackmail me with the stuff and say, we found all of these different things and we get whatever. I said, I don't care what you do with any of that stuff. I told my lawyers, I'm staying with my case, and none of this stuff is going to bother me. They're not going to be able to get me off track, and we're going to stay in the case. My lawyers went on to depose different supervisors and people at my old job over the next 3 years. 5 years later, just to cut short to it, we finally had a trial. We had a trial, and the trial was going to be back at North Island in San Diego. I'm in Southern Maryland. I catch a plane to San Diego, go for a 3-day hearing. 3-day hearing. My lawyers, all the Department of Navy lawyers. And let me tell you this, on my documents, it didn't say Everett Butler versus my second level supervisor. It said Everett Butler versus the Secretary of the Navy. That's why it was able to strain out so long, because they got unlimited resources. And if I didn't have the law firm that I had, Mike, I couldn't have kept fighting that long, because I wouldn't have been able. And just to tell you as well, my legal fees at this current time, when I get ready to go to court, are approaching $200,000. That's how much the legal fees were for the 5 years. That's what they were at that present time. So we go to court. We go to 3 days of hearing. On the second day of the hearing, we talk to each person for 1 hour. My lawyers talk to a different person each hour on the day. It's from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. The second hour of the second day was my first level supervisor. They start talking to her. They was asking her questions. She's my first level supervisor now, the person that I did all my appraisals that I reported to firsthand. When they started asking her questions, it got so bad on their part that they kept on talking to her. The hour passed. They talked to her up until 4 o'clock that day, from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. They didn't talk to anybody else. They just kept talking to her because she was destroying the case for the government. She basically, she had admitted that she got my information on my file one day. I bought a brand new, beautiful house, and I had these new cars, and she got my information one day from the file and drove by my house.
Wait. Not only are they harassing you on the job,
they're following me after work,
making you punch in like you a child or a subordinate, and you're one of the senior people, but they're now driving by your house.
Driving by my house. That's illegal for her to pull my address and to go by my house. My lawyers asked her in deposition. They say, ma'am, do you know that? Don't you know that's illegal? And she said, no, I didn't know that was illegal. Should I turn myself in now? That's what she told him. That's my first level. She told him during the deposition that. Did she turn herself in now? Long story short, the judge is asking her, have you ever wrote this man up anytime? Have you ever wrote him up? No, I never wrote him up for anything. Was his appraisals below average? No, his appraisals were excellent. And the judge is looking like, what's going on with this? Something don't make no sense with this situation. You never wrote him up. He has excellent appraisal. He's doing his job, but you guys got him sending these emails to and from, and nobody else is doing that but him. Something is not adding up. Something just don't make any sense about this. So after the second day we finished we come back for the third and final day. Now take it, we're behind like 6 witnesses because we're still talking to her. We show up there in the morning for the third day, and we're still going to talk to her. My lawyers still want to talk to her still that morning. They call my lawyers in the room and tell me just to wait outside. And they pull them in. They come out 15 minutes later, and I'm in another room. They walk in there and they say, Everett, they want to settle. And I said, they want to settle? Say, yeah, they want to settle. They don't want it to go any further. But they don't want to admit any wrongdoings, but they want to settle. Say, what are they offering? They say they want to pay all of your legal fees, then supplement you with a back promotion, which would have been 2.5 years back, to promote you. I was a 12 then. I was a 13 where I went to. They went to back promote me to a 13 for all of those times, as well as give me 400 hours of annual leave and give me about mid
You don't,
$50,000 worth of
yeah,
money.
you don't have to get the figure, but
Yeah, I'm getting physical. Yeah, they wanted to give me some cash, give me 400 hours of leave, and back promote me, and pay my lawyer bills.
how many years did you have to fight the government to win this?
5 years, Doug. 5 years of stress and anxiety, and not knowing what was going to happen. I mean, I'm thinking I'm gonna win, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna win, I'm gonna lose. I don't know. I'm just fighting. And they're sending me through the ringer for this whole 5 years. They're sending me through the ringer.
I'm looking at your headline. It
Oh,
looked
yes,
like,
sir.
because
Yes,
I
sir.
was pulling
Yes, sir.
mine out too.
Yes, sir. Yes,
My
sir.
hairline used to be up here, but through my 2
Yes,
lawsuits,
sir.
you get to pulling it out.
You see.
I want to interject real quick.
Yeah.
Because my two situation was same as yours. The second situation where we argued against a large construction company, $1 billion construction company, when we went to deposition, the people who conspired to put me out of business were all promoted to vice presidents, directors after they fired me. One of the ladies who's after they, because they got rid of all the other black contractors, but after they got rid of me, the lady who fired me, when I looked at the deposition and and my lawyer was questioning her, she was promoted 2 months after she got rid of me to a VP up north. But go ahead. I want to put this out there that people's lives
Absolutely.
on the line here.
Absolutely.
People, why a black man and a black woman got to go home and explain to your wife, your kids, why you're getting fired, why you're stressed out, and these people think it's a game.
Absolutely.
But let me tell you something, Mr. Everett Butler, we're not playing anymore.
No, we're not. They are used to us being subservient. If I would have been subservient and just took and compliant with abuse or whatever how they want to put their thumb on my head and just accepted it, it would have been fine.
Their knee on your neck.
Knee on my neck, not thumb on my head. I was thumb on my head, knee on my neck. You're right. They want to keep their knee on my neck. And if I was subservient and didn't fight back, like I'm gonna tell you, I have a lot of friends in the professional industry, and most people don't fight back, unfortunately, because they're one, they don't know how. One, because they don't have the resource and the knowledge of how to fight, and that's what the corporate entities depend on. They have so much resources, so much experience with this. They have a certain way to put everybody in boxes that you think when you're going through something that you know is wrong and you know it's not right, you think you don't know how to fight. And that's why I always tell you about you have to network with people and understand to get the power and the strength to know how to fight. Just from my background, you said East Oakland, how I grew up, I'm a fighter. I always fight. I fight at all ends and no matter what. And I've been that way my whole life. And I had that.
I wrestled you. I know you a hell of a fighter. We wrestled together.
To survive the way I grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in, how I grew up, you had no choice, or else you would get destroyed. And you had to learn to pool your resources right away as a kid. You had to learn to build, and that's what I did. So I'm gonna fight anybody that's trying to do injustice to me. I don't care who you is, how big you are. If it's a person, how big you are in stature, 6'5", 300 don't mean nothing to me. As far as this, or if you're a corporate entity and you're the Department of Defense, it doesn't matter. If you're doing wrong, I'm gonna fight you. And that's just what I've always done. And because of that, Doug, this was a big fight, but I've had because of that incident that I won this case. When I left and went from the Department of Navy after my mother passed away, I left Patuxent River Naval Air Station Base in a promotion position that I'd already got on my own, came back to Oakland in 2009 to work for Defense Contract Management Agency, DCMA, worked for them. And I worked in right close to where we grew up in Oakland for Rolls-Royce for DCMA. And when I came back, to show you the next fight I had, I came back and they paid for me to come back, PCS, which was great. All of that was beautiful for me to live in a place where I wanted to live at for 30 days, and they paid for everything. But the rule book said if you could stay up to 120 days if you couldn't find a place to live when you move back. So as long as you sent information to your supervisor, he could approve it, keep it in 30-day increments and go out to 120 days. I did that, and mine went out to 120 days. I was in my last 90 to 120 day period of staying in houses in Jack London Square, and I was working down had a beautiful place overlooking San Francisco, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, fully furnished on the government, and my boss was approving me because I hadn't found a place to live yet, a permanent place to live. they told me halfway through that period that I wasn't eligible to get 120 days of PCS. My boss was new.
Now, what is PCS?
PCS is permanent change of station.
Thank you.
Permanent change of station, where they paid for me to come all the way from DC, pay for my cars to move all my furniture back to Oakland from DC, pay for me to come out and do a house hunting trip. All this is part of the government, when you're changing jobs. And every position don't get that, but my position was a higher position where it got PCS, permanent change of station. So long story short of it, my job told me I was only eligible for the 30 days that was listed on the job opening, which it did say 30 days, but my boss approved the extra time. So they told me, no, Everett, the boss was new. He didn't know what he was doing. So you're going to have to pay the money out your pocket. And it was about $17,000. And they were saying, you're going to have to pay it because we're not going to pay it. We're only paying for 30 days. We're not paying for the extra money. And I said, no, that's not right. The boss, the fact that he was new, I didn't know that. I just came here and started working here. So it's not my fault, So they said, well, you can appeal it. So I appealed it to the DCMA up to their higher chain. They came back and said, no, we're denying it. You got to pay it. So I went outside again because I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to accept that. But most people would have accepted and just paid the money. I went out and got a friend of mine who is from Sobrante Park, 2 years ahead of me. She's a lawyer, went to UCLA, got her through my resources, my firm group. She represented me. We fought that case. The case went all the way through up to the director of DCMA in Washington, D.C. They denied our request. She took it outside to the United States Appeals and took my case there, and we won. We won, and they had to pay me. They had to pay me, and they paid me $17,000. But what that did, I'm saying all of that to say, it made these people want to go after me after that. Because I wasn't subservient. I didn't accept what they told me. I fought and I won. Now I'm there for the next 6 years. They're going after me.
You weren't a good, and we're working with less than 5 minutes, and I'll put it bluntly. You weren't a good house.
Absolutely.
You were a field.
Absolutely.
So you ran just like me.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to start teaching our people. Stop being house.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I just want to commend your wife first off.
And she hung with me through all of it. A rock.
I want to commend your wife. I want to commend your children.
When I say soldier, I mean soldier. Straight soldier.
I want to commend your wife, and I want to commend your children, and I want to commend you.
As well as them. And they were young, but they were right there with me. And they know the story well because I teach them how to fight and be empowered. And my daughters are by themselves in their 30s, multiple homeowners, both of them by themselves, but not with any dude, just on their own, representing with each of them with my 2 grandkids, my 4 grandkids. I taught them how to lead by example, take care of business, and they do it, and they fight.
Everett, I want to say that first off, I want to say first off that Magnolia Engineering and Construction, they are going to enjoy your energy and your passion and your experience. To the bottom of my heart,
it's about paying it forward.
I appreciate you coming on to the show and telling people it's not just the private sector that has racism. It's all sectors of business that has racism, whether it be government or whether it be private.
And that's sad. It's sad for us to still say that. It's real sad for me to say it and you to talk about it. It's sad, but it's a reality. So because it's a reality, you have to educate yourself and learn how to fight. And we know how to do that. It's ways, and we didn't get into documentation. That's one of the keys to how you win these situations is documentation. We can talk about that another time because that's the key to winning any lawsuit. Well, you
documentation. Definitely be back because it's critical that we teach our people not how to lay down, but how to stand up. Because
and stand up the right way.
Start standing up. We're gonna be all laid down like, excuse me, Lord. And I forgot to give praise to the Lord at the beginning of the show. Thank you, Jesus.
Absolutely.
But if we don't start standing up, we're gonna always be with somebody with their knee on the back of our neck. And it takes brothers and sisters out there who are fighting and who are not afraid. Because what happens is we get caught up in we get used to, oh, well, I'm making this money and I don't want to rock the boat. And you do the song and the
You get
dance.
content. You get content. People get content, and you can't blame them. I don't blame people for that because we had to struggle so hard oftentimes to get the positions that where we're at. So I can't fault anybody for just being happy with having their paycheck and taking care of their family. And if they have a good job, I can't fault anybody for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Me, I'm just not built that way. I can't take abuse and injustice. I'm not built that way. You know.
Everett, we got 2 minutes left. We want to give Miss Magnolia Engineering and Construction, Miss Kim Harris. Can I
Yes,
get you in a minute? Can you give us some words of wisdom as you guys, and I say you guys, you ladies, move forward in your business, please?
Sure. I'd like to say that Magnolia Construction and Engineering, being a woman-owned firm, is very unique in this industry. And I think that Everett could probably attest to that, how many
absolutely
engineers are in this industry at all. And it's very hard to find other women engineers. It's hard to find other women that are in the construction industry at all. And the ones that are there, it's so rare that you look and you see one or two, and it's like seeing a unicorn. So I think having Tammy to be in this industry and to be as forward thinking as she is, and to come from the background that she does with auditing and making sure that all of the I's are dotted and all of the T's are crossed, is going to be unique, especially here in Oakland, California. And I look forward to seeing what Magnolia grows into in the coming years.
I want to wrap up by saying, Mr. Everett Butler and our sponsor, Ms. Kim Harris, we thank you for sharing, Mr. Butler, Everett. We thank you for sharing your story. And I humbly ask you to come back so we can continue to teach our people how to fight and get that knee off of the back of your neck. God bless. Stay strong. Join us next week as we have another exciting Black Business Roundtable. Thank you and good night.
appreciate you guys. Have a